welcome back to my channel. So today is the start of a brand new series on my channel, and it's going to be all about drugstore deals. So drugstore dupes of the day or drugstore deals of the week, something like that. So if you guys have any kind of cute, catchy little phrases for me, do let me know in the comments below. Basically, I am all about a good deal. I'm just like obsessed with it. I don't know if it's the Indian in me or what it is, but find a product that is like really expensive and I will find you its counterpart from the drugstore. At least I try. So today is gonna be all about correctors. Or I should say this week is going to be about correctors. I was at the drugstore and I found e.l.f. I've been really impressed with e.l.f. lately. I think when they first came on the scene like 10 years ago or whenever they did, I was kind of like, no. But now they've really stepped up their game. Some of their products are my tried and true, like their brush. One of their brushes, you'll see it today, is one of my favorites. But I digress. So let's get back to the corrector. This is the corrector. I love the fact that it is a, you know, kind of lipstick form. You can swivel it up. That to me is great. And it's easy to use, you know what I mean? It's just, it comes packaged easily. It's lightweight. It's something you can keep with you on the go. Here are some parts of it that I don't like. One is that it only comes in 2 shades. This is light and then it comes in a deep dark shade. Why is there nothing, you know, in the middle? I wish there was something, but for me, the light works. I also do think that corrector-wise, you generally can get away with a darker or lighter. It just depends on how much you're using it. I just still wish, especially for those that don't know how to use correctors or are a little intimidated by it, I wish there was maybe a middle color. Even, this goes not just for drugstore, this goes for high-end too. The high-end version that I really like is the Tarte CC. It's the clay corrector, and that only comes in a medium tan and a deep dark. I don't know why, but the medium tan works really well for me. However, I will say that the deep dark does also work for a lot of skin tones. I have tried that on. I get to try the darker one of this and try it on other people. But because this was all that was available to me, I'm gonna go ahead and try this one out. So let's go over what corrector is for and how it's used. So a lot of times people will come to me and they'll say, you know, my concealer is looking really gray, or it has like this ashy undertone after I apply my concealer and foundation. And to that I always say, you know, are you using a corrector? And then sometimes people say, I don't know what that is. I don't even know what that means. So correcting is almost just what you think about like on the color wheel, like different colors that cancel each other out. And a lot of times when you're talking about under eye circles or pigmentation, especially for olive skin tones or medium skin tones, you want to look for something like peachy, maybe a little bit more bisque, or even red, depending on how deep that pigmentation is or discoloration is on you. So for me, a peachy hue, which looks something like this, is almost perfect. This almost looks like a concealer. It just has a hint of that peachiness to it. So actually for me, I love when concealers have a little bit of that peach undertone to it, because then it's kind of like a 2-in-1, and then I can skip the corrector altogether. So how you use correctors is there are different ways that people like to do it, and you can even layer it on top of different products. But for me, what I like to do is, first and foremost, I like to put it on underneath my foundation, and then I put a thin layer of foundation on, and then I put my concealer on top of that. And that to me is probably the best way to kind of counteract any pigmentation that you have. And if you do this step, I know it is an extra step in your routine. If you do the step, I'm almost positive that that ashiness that you are getting, if you are getting that when you put on your concealer, will go away. Also, another thing I like correcting for is eyelids. Like for me, I actually think I need more correction on top of my lids than I do under. I don't have too much discoloration or under eye dark circles, but I do have like this natural, almost, it looks like I'm wearing like a brown rusty eyeshadow, and that's just my normal lid color. So let's say I'm trying to put on, and generally I always do more natural neutral colors on my lids, so I don't really think about correcting them as much. But let's say I was doing like a really nice purple or magenta look, and I was trying to put it up over this. What happens is that you see the color in the pan and you're like, oh, this is like a beautiful magenta or lilac color. And then you apply it and it doesn't look the same. And that's because you're applying it on top of your lid, which is a different color to begin with. You're not starting from neutral. That is when I will actually prime and sort of correct my eyelids, when I want that shadow or that color to really pop in its truest form. So with that said, I'm just gonna show you what I do. I'm gonna take this And I do like this because it's easy to use. You don't have to use your finger. All right, and what I'm going to do also is I'm going to test it against the high-end one that I really like, which is the Tarte CC corrector. As you can see, this has been used up a lot because it is one of my favorites. This one is definitely a little bit more peachy, whereas this one is a little bit more neutral tone, but I'm excited to try them both out and then just do a check-in with you guys so you can really see how it wears and how it wears over foundation and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna go in, and now where I like to correct, I like to focus on where we are losing our natural volume, because that's when you start looking like you do have those more deep set hollow under eyes. So right here, unfortunately, as you age, that's where you lose all that good fat. So I'm gonna put a little bit of corrector right there. And then the other place is right here in the corner of my eye. And that's because over the years, whenever I've had allergies, my eye always waters, and I'm always kind of rubbing that area, which is unfortunate because, again, the skin around your eyes is very thin, so you want to be careful with that, but that's just something I can't, you know, can't hide. Okay, and then I'm gonna wanna, you know, usually around the mouth, a nose is where you might have a little bit of discoloration. So that's where I'm going in with that. And then on this side, as I mentioned, I'm gonna use the Tarte. So I have just a little bit of breakout right there, so I'm gonna put it there. And I'm gonna go ahead and put it the same place that I said. And this one comes in a pot, so you do have to use your finger or a brush. This formula is also way creamier and stickier, so something to keep in mind. So you do wanna make sure you blend this out, because otherwise you will crease. I feel like you're gonna crease. And then on this side, I have a little bit of brown spots, like I have a little bit of pigmentation, so that's where I'm gonna put that. And then why I think, aside from just the ashiness that this is going to cancel out, why I think that this correcting is a great step is because it prevents you from putting on too much foundation, which I feel like a lot of women can run into, because they say like, oh, I have this one area where I have dark spots, and then they just kind of pile it on. And it doesn't look as fresh and as clean and as nice in person. And that to me is a big deal, because I feel like I've spent a lot of time in my years behind the camera on TV, even on camera, and now just being able to see it. I just feel like I like when you can see something far away and it looks good, but it looks just as great when you see someone like up close and personal and you're like, oh, hey girl, hey. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a damp beauty blender. I always do this. I never have a damp beauty blender on me. I'll be right back. I literally need to keep a bowl next to me. You know, people always say like, oh, just spray a little bit of your setting spray or water bottle. Keep that next to you and then you can spray it. I just don't like that. I need my beauty blender to be like almost super soaked in water, and then I could squeeze it out. That to me is like how it works the best. Okay, so I'm just gonna gently rub this in. And again, this could actually take your place of concealer depending on how much coverage you want. But for me, I kind of like I like just doing all the steps that I'm doing right now. If I'm gonna do them, I just do them all, and I can do them quickly, but to me, it just makes sure that I get all the coverage I need and I don't have to touch my face again. That to me is the biggest deal. Okay, so, and you can see I just took a little bit, whatever was left over, and I just hit my eyelid, but you can see how it already neutralized all of that, right? Now I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of foundation. Today I'm gonna be using the Beauty Blender Bounce Foundation. This is in the shade 3.3, so it is a liquid whip long wear foundation. I would say it's a little bit more of a medium to full coverage. I'm just going to take a pump. That is what a pump looks like. And I personally do not want to use more than that. It is a beautiful foundation. It goes on really nicely. But on a day-to-day, I just don't need that much. And also, because I'm gonna put a little concealer on top of this, we don't need to go that crazy. You know what I mean? Okay. And again, if I were to take this up to my under eye like I'm doing right now, you could literally use this. You could literally use this. I literally stipple. Do you hear that? I stipple this into my skin. This is the way I get the best coverage and make sure that it looks really nice and clean. Okay, if you wanted to, like on a day-to-day, I could kind of just leave the house and be like, I'm good to go. But that's just not me. I'm gonna need a little bit more coverage because that's how I am. So I'm going to go in with another e.l.f. product. This is the e.l.f. 16-hour camo concealer. I have been obsessed with this a little bit. It's something I really like, and again, it's from the drugstore, so yay to that. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this. It is a matte concealer, so with that said, just make sure you blend out pretty quickly. I would even do one eye at a time. To me, that's how it works the best. And you can kind of, you know, I kind of like to take a little bit and just hit the spots where I want a little bit of highlight. Okay. And I'm just gonna blend, excuse me, just gonna blend that out. And one thing I like to do when I'm blending out is I like to kind of like drag down so it's on the side of the nose and then upwards. And when I go up, I like to almost take that and just wing it out so it kind of like lifts my eye a little bit. Okay, so that blended out really nicely with the e.l.f. corrector underneath. I mean, I would think they would think that because it's the e.l.f. corrector with the concealer, but you can even see the difference, right? When I've corrected and concealed, and now I'm gonna add a little bit of concealer. On a day-to-day, I would probably just put the concealer right here and right here. Same places where I corrected, but since I already did the other side, let's not stray away from that. Also, you do not need too much of this concealer. A little bit goes a long way. So keep that in mind if you do get your hands on this. It's a $5 concealer, honestly. That makes me so excited because it's good stuff. So there you go. Okay, there's that. That is how you correct and conceal. The only thing I'm going to do next is set everything. And I'm going to set it after I just do a little bit of contour. I'm gonna go in with my Bare Minerals. This is the foundation stick, actually, hydration rescue. This is the complexion rescue hydration stick. Let me say that again. This is the Bare Minerals complexion rescue hydration foundation stick, and it is in the shade Cinnamon. So it is 10.5, and I'm just going to lightly blend that out, and then I'm gonna set it. I like to set my concealer and corrector after I do my contour, just because then everything kind of blends out nicely. I like to set my concealer after I do my contour just because it's a cream-based product as well. And also sometimes the contour can be a little heavy-handed. Like right now it's like, it's very brown right here, so I need to soften that up a little bit. I'm gonna soften that just a little bit. To set the corrector and concealer, I've gone over this several times on my IG stories and whatnot, but I'm taking my Maybelline Fit Me. This is in the shade Fairlight, and I'm taking my e.l.f. highlight. I'm using a lot of e.l.f. today. I didn't realize that. And I'm just setting that, and how I set it, I pat in, I push, and I pat. That's what I like to call push and pat, and then I go up. And then I just take whatever's left over and hit areas that might shine or where I might get lines, like my laugh lines. And that's it. I don't like to bake. Maybe it's a soft bake. I don't know what it would be called, but I don't like to bake too much. But you can see now that I put the powder on after the contour, it just looks a lot smoother. There's no harsh lines. And just use whatever's left over if you want to kind of blend everything out and make sure there are no harsh lines. At this point, all I would do, I'm gonna finish my makeup, and in between I like to just set it with a little bit of setting spray. And that's about it. So I'm gonna finish up my makeup. I'm gonna go about my day. I'm gonna check back in and just kind of compare both sides and see how it is. So I will see you guys then. But until then, first impressions are that I like this e.l.f. corrector a lot. The color matches me really, really well. It seems to be doing exactly what the Tarte one does. I actually kind of like it a little bit more. I see less concavity on this side than I do on this side, unless I just use it differently. The one thing I will say is that the Tarte one is definitely a little creamier, so it can crease if you don't blend well, but this e.l.f. one is really good, so I'll be back. I'll be back. Hey guys, so it is well past 3 p.m. now, and so it's been quite a few hours since I tried on both correctors. This was the e.l.f. side, and if you can see, it hasn't budged at all. This was the Tarte side. I'm actually surprised if you see. This could have been, I might have rubbed my eye and I don't know, but it's cracking just a little bit there. That doesn't really have to do with the corrector itself. It could be more so with the placement of the foundation, or I mean the concealer, but I mean, the fact that this hasn't moved at all, it's staying put, it just looks really good. So I'm really impressed with that. So yeah, there you guys go. I think this is a huge thumbs up for me. It hasn't moved anywhere at all on my face. Just had a little lipstick there. So yeah, I think for the price point and everything, and honestly, even not the price point, I don't like using price as much as a factor, because just because it's cheaper doesn't mean that it's something I'm going to get. But I would say overall, just for the way it wears, for what it does, everything, I'm really into this. I think the biggest thing I would love to see is just a few more ranges. If maybe there's even like 2 more shades, because for me the light works really well, but I need to see the deep and the dark to see if it would work for darker skin tones as well. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this little wear test demo situation for this drugstore find of the week. And if you guys have any questions for me, please list them in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions as to what you'd like me to test out next, please also list that in the comments below, because I have a list of what I want to try out, but I would love to hear from you guys. And as always, I appreciate when you guys support me, so please do like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!